We've seen attacks against police officers, federal agents, including the deadly shooting in the ICE facility in Dallas. Night after night, Antifa wreaks havoc on our streets of our cities. In Minnesota, a gunman murdered a state lawmaker and her husband. It was horrific. An anti-Semitic lunatic tried to burn down Governor Shapiro's house while he was in it with his wife and young children. This week, authorities arrested a man outside a Catholic church in Washington, D.C., with hundreds of explosive devices. And on September 10th, our nation stopped in its tracks with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We miss him dearly. Unfortunately, I'm here today to talk about similar threats that were made against Benny Johnson and his wife, Kate.
Federal investigators wasted no time. Working with the Tampa Police Department, the FBI, and the Postal Service, they traced the letter across the country, all the way to San Diego. Fingerprints on the envelope led them to a man named George Eisbel Jr., who was quickly arrested and charged with mailing threatening communications, a serious federal offense. It was a rare moment of swift justice, one that brought a small sense of relief to a family living in fear. But here's where things get even deeper. This wasn't just about one man's arrest. It was about what his actions represent: a nation at war with itself, where political disagreements have turned into death sentences. And that's where this story hits every one of us. How do we get here? How did freedom of speech become freedom to hate? And more importantly, how do we stop it before another family gets that same kind of letter?
Benny's a well-known media personality, carrying a message very similar to Charlie's, grounded largely in faith and love of country. Just days after Charlie's assassination, Benny received a letter at his home where he and Kate are raising their beautiful, beautiful young family. The author of this letter made it very clear that he hated Benny because of his views, and he wanted Benny dead. This was a coward hiding behind a keyboard who thought he could get away with this. That's why we're standing up here today. You are not going to get away with threatening people in this way. And I'm proud to announce that we have arrested the author of this letter. George Eisbel Jr. was taken into custody this morning, and we are charging him federally with mailing threatening communications. It is a crime, and if convicted, he is going to prison. This was incredible teamwork. Benny called me right away. Chief Burkall, thank you. You were on it right away. Matt Fodor and all the FBI agents. Thank you, U.S. Attorney Kehoe. All of the U.S. Postal Service, FBI, state and local law enforcement working together. This is what it's about. And we are going to catch you if you think you can do something like this. We don't care if you're across the country in California. We will find you, we will arrest you, we will extradite you, and we will bring you to justice.
But then came Attorney General Pam Bondi, calm, composed, yet equally firm. When a reporter asked if she agreed with Benny's claim that Democrats were to blame, she drew a sharp line. No, she said. It doesn't matter who you are. If you commit violence, we will find you. Her response wasn't just about avoiding partisanship. It was a declaration that justice should stand above politics. She pointed out that even Democrats, like the Minnesota lawmaker who was murdered, had been victims of the same kind of senseless violence. The message was clear: hate has no party. This was where the clash became unmistakable. Benny saw America's political crisis as a moral war. One side fighting for faith and freedom, the other consumed by corruption and chaos. Bondi, on the other hand, framed it as a law and order issue, not right versus left, but right versus wrong. Two different languages, both claiming to defend the same country, yet describing completely different realities. And it makes you wonder who's right. Is Benny exposing an uncomfortable truth about how political hatred is now weaponized by certain groups? Or is Bondi right in saying that violence itself, no matter its source, must be condemned equally? Maybe both have a point. Maybe America's greatest problem isn't which party is to blame, but the fact that politics has become a battlefield where no one listens, only attacks.
And you will be prosecuted while we bring all of the joint assets of law enforcement, as you see here, the Tampa Police Department, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the United States Postal Service, and of course, coordinating this is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So the word should go out, and it should be no mistake that if you decide at any point, at any time, to write such a thing and send it over the wires, or in this instance, put it in the mails, you will be prosecuted and you will be held accountable.
Daughters and wife. 2 months ago, Christian children kneeling and praying in a church were slaughtered by a left-wing extremist. And 2 weeks ago, federal law enforcement was shot at multiple sniper rounds in a federal facility by a left-wing extremist. If it's happening every single week, is it that extreme?
Benny's message resonated with millions who feel silenced, attacked, and targeted for their beliefs. His words weren't polished. They were painful, desperate, and honest. He thanked law enforcement for saving his family, but he also warned that America was walking a dangerous line. He wanted peace, but not at the cost of pretending everything was fine. Because, as he put it, you cannot unite with people who want you dead. That statement may sound harsh, but for many Americans watching, it struck a nerve. And this is where the discussion becomes truly important. It's not just about threats or politics. It's about how a divided country learns to coexist again. Are Americans still capable of peaceful disagreement? Or has the political battlefield grown too toxic to recover? Can unity exist when fear dominates every conversation? These aren't just rhetorical questions. They're the kind of questions that decide the future of a nation. In the end, Bondi spoke of justice, Benny spoke of faith. And between those two voices lies the crossroads where America stands today, torn between order and outrage, between hope and despair. The world was watching that press conference not just to hear about an arrest, but to see if there's still a path forward for a country so deeply divided.
They described in great detail how I would be killed in an open field just like Charlie, how much blood would come out of my head and neck when it was blown off. This individual described orphaning my 4 beautiful children and widowing my wife with great joy. You might want to say, another left-wing radical, another extremist. And to that, I would like to direct your attention to the state of Virginia, where Democrats have nominated and are about to vote for the chief law enforcement officer in that state, a man who has done the exact same thing. An individual who's calling for the assassination by bullets of Republicans that he disagrees with. The killing of their children. The slaughtering of, as he says, little fascists. Are my 4 innocent, beautiful children little fascists? Violence has been mainstreamed by the Democrat Party. It is not extremist, it is mainstream.
Wait, I'll go left to right. Okay.
Attorney General, I do know that it's unfortunate what happened to your family in that letter, but he just described that this is solely put on by the Democratic Party. Do you see it that way, that this is something that is caused by the Democratic Party?
No, and I just talked about what happened in Minnesota to a Democrat, what happened in Pennsylvania to a Democrat governor. No, this was a left-wing radical, absolutely. The same type of person who murdered and assassinated Charlie Kirk. That's what we're talking about here today. But it doesn't matter who you are. If you commit an act of violence, a written threat through the mail, we are going to find you. These men behind me are going to hunt you down and find you. This guy thought he got away with this. And he thought he could hurt Benny and his family, and it's not going to happen. We have open cases, other open cases all over this country, and we're going to find you. Any other question? Yes, hey.
Attorney General, hi.
Sure.
A couple questions. One is just about the case itself. Does this fellow, was he found to have any means of carrying it out, and did he have firearms available to him?
This is an ongoing investigation. The man is in custody. I will defer that question until the appropriate time because it is still very much under investigation and following all the leads that we possibly can.
And that's a very good question.
I wanted to ask also, Attorney
Sure.
General, just during Charlie Kirk's funeral, the president said, I disagree with Charlie. I hate my opponent. I don't want the best for them. Would you encourage the president, just given what we're talking about here and the seriousness and how people take every word and use it to reinforce their preconceived notions about people. Someone crazy could act on words like that. Would you encourage the president to not say things like
The
that?
president said nothing about violence, absolutely nothing. And that was in response, I believe, to amazing Erica Kirk talking about her forgiveness. And he was saying how brave and bold she was and how difficult it is to forgive the person who assassinated. No, I'm not worried about that because that was not said. That was not said. No act of violence was said. If anyone is sending a threatening communication through the mail like they did to Benny Johnson, we're going to find them and we're going to prosecute them. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Thank you.